Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. Today I am here, whoop, claps, okay, calming down. Today I'm here to speak to you about the books that I've read during the month of July. I have finished 4 things, I believe. I've gone a little bit in The Torch Against the Night as well, but I have not finished it. And I will not finish it next month because next month is Newt. I apologize for the seagulls. They just don't shut up, like me. Am I a seagull? Overall, it actually has been an okay reading month, even though I haven't read like an enormous amount or anything, but my lowest rating is 3-star and the highest rating is 4-star, and the majority of the things are in the 4-star. They vary in the level of it, but let's get into it and so I can tell you about it. I'll start with the 3-star, and that was I Hate Fairyland. This was a gift from Cody actually, so thank you so very much, Cody. You did not have to. This was before she knew that I don't really like the Alice in Wonderland-esque type of vibe. But this is basically this fairyland and a girl that slips in the in-between of whatever the worlds and goes into this world where everything is like whimsical but also is very like grotesque. And she ages there because she's supposed to find the key, but she doesn't succeed for like 27 years or something because she's 30 something in there but stuck in like a 7-year-old, or I'm just pulling these numbers out of my, but you get what I mean. She's a mature lady in a young child's body, and she's very bitter about it all, and she just can't find it. And it's about her journey to trying and finding that key when there is suddenly a competition. I think the reason, it wasn't even the whimsical thing, and I really liked the art style. It was very like playful and stuff like that, but I thought that every time there was like a joke or something like gruesome, it was always very much like on the nose, you know. It was very apparent what they're trying to do with it. It was never like really unexpected or something. The humor was nice, I suppose, but it was just kind of forced, so I wasn't totally in that for that, but I still enjoyed myself. It's a comic book, you know, I had fun. It's pretty to look at, some jokes were kind of funny, and I didn't hate it by any means, but I don't know if I will be continuing this unless I find it in a library. I'm definitely not going to spend money on it, but basically I don't regret reading it, but it's not my new favorite. So, but it might be yours, you know, check it out if it's something that you think would be kind of cool. It's very much personal taste on the vibe of it. The next thing on the ladder is Godsgrave by J. Kristoff. This is the 2nd book in the Nevernight series, and I thought I should get this going before Dark Dawn comes out in, I think, maybe September this year, October this year. And Nevernight is basically about a girl who is taken by revenge because of some political nonsense. Her whole family got basically murdered, and she seeks revenge against these other political people that overtook her family, because her father was, I think, basically like a prime minister of that place. And she goes into the assassin school, and like the whole shebang just goes tits up, basically. This is an adult series actually. People often clump it with YA, but it's not. It's an adult series, and there's a lot of gory stuff, there's a lot of cursing, there's a lot of sex. It's like a medium amount of sex, but like sexual references and stuff like that. And this is the 2nd book in the series, so obviously I'm not going to tell you what this is about because spoilers for the first one. But I very surprisingly enjoyed it because I was avoiding this for a little while due to J. Kristoff's writing. It's very hard, I think. It's harder for me maybe because it's closer to like an old English type of thing sometimes than it is to like a modern English, which is the English that I learned. So maybe it's because of me, or maybe it's just in general his writing is not the easiest to grasp, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself for the majority of it. There was even a time where I was really just so into it. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be a 5-star book. So it took me a little bit to get into it, maybe like 70 pages or something, and then the middle part I enjoyed the most, which is ridiculous and unheard of. Like, excuse me, what? It's just very unusual for me to enjoy the middle part the most. And I think the ending and a particular trope being a bit overused at the very end there really pushed it down, because it's definitely not my favorite trope, and I think it just was done one time too many within this book. It basically got used 3 times within like 50 pages, and I was just sat there like we had a good thing going here. But other than that, I still really enjoyed it. I absolutely love the humor. It's very realistic, I think. Obviously not the book, I like the humor, especially around the people that I hang out. I don't know, we just like, we curse a lot, I suppose that's it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but the end was disappointing for me, which is crazy because you would think I would be happy, but we'll see about the third one. I will definitely be reading that, but I gave it 4 stars, so still a very, very high rating. But and you might really enjoy the end. It's just that particular trope is just not my favorite, and I really don't want to say because it's a spoiler. I think it would be a spoiler. So then I have also read Heartstopper by Alice Oseman, and I grabbed onto this where I was very numb emotionally. I just needed something heartwarming that will take me out of my life and into somebody else's, and like a really fun ride. And this was basically it. I think I read it at the very perfect time. It was needed. It was like a cup of tea after a very harsh day outside in -20 temperature or something like that. Although it was the opposite, it was probably 30 something when I was reading this because the heat wave. This is about a boy who goes to school and meets another boy who also goes to school. The first boy is openly gay, the second one isn't, but they bond over a couple of things and they evolve into a friendship, but obviously there's something more. Obviously, I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler, I think everyone knows. It definitely did feel juvenile, but I think because I went in expecting that, I wasn't taken aback by it and I didn't really hold it against it. I don't really use Copile, my rating system, which I have a video on. Just put in rating system if you want to find it in my channel. I don't really do Copile. I feel like there's not enough things for me to run by Copile for graphic novels and comics. I did try, but it just didn't really make sense to me. So I just go by the feel for these. And it doesn't feel like a 5-star. It feels like a 4-star because I'm also way more lenient with like comics and stuff. It's a very easy story. It's just like, again, like a cup of tea or hot chocolate, whatever your preference is. Orange juice, I don't know, cyanide. Don't. Yeah, it was just really enjoyable. I liked it. It's a warm fuzzies kind of thing. It's just heartwarming, wholesome read. I actually already got the second one just because like it's just such a feel-good kind of book. And I need all of those in my life at the moment, so I got the second one and I'm saving it for Newts. So I might actually read it tomorrow just to get like some momentum as well. I would definitely recommend you pick this up if you think this is something that you would like. It's very wholesome. I think the whole thing was quite well addressed, very non-over the top, which I really enjoy because a lot of the times it is over the top and I just don't really enjoy that much, but didn't feel like that was the case with this one. Definitely not earth-breaking or like heart-shattering or perspective-changing book for me personally, but you know. And then the last thing that I have read in July was Daisy Jones and the Six. I was actually listening to the audiobook of this, which I highly recommend. Everyone has been saying that and it is true, I think. The audiobook is amazing. It's a full, so every character gets a individual voice actor. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think a couple of things were a bit romanticized. I understand that there is a very like, it's basically about a rock and roll band in the 70s, I believe, and there's this like forbidden romance a little bit, and drugs and sex and band coming apart, and this is basically a story through interviews about why they have this band. Again, because it's done in this format, I understand there's maybe not a way to really portray it. I don't know, it was definitely not portrayed in the good way, but I felt like it was maybe a little bit romanticized, just the infidelity part. And obviously there's some things to keep in mind if you haven't read it and it's a sensitive topic for you. There are dealings with abortion and obviously addiction to both alcohol and drugs. It didn't feel like a 5-star for me either, but it was a quite high 4-star book. So for example, Godblind is it Godblind? No, it's Godsgrave. Godsgrave. Godsgrave was 7.75 on the Copile scale and Daisy Jones was 8.35, so it was higher than Godsgrave, although very different. So it was a very still high 4-star, but it just didn't get to the 5. I think there were a lot of characters that I would have liked like more explored, mainly secondary. The ending I didn't like it, but I know most people probably do, but that didn't really sit well with me. Like, not about that. There were parts that were really slow. This is definitely a character-based book. If you're a plot-based reader, that is not a book for you, although it's very different obviously. But yeah, there were definitely parts that were quite slow for quite a long time, and I think that's why sometimes it just felt like ugh. But the audiobook is very good, and I still would highly recommend that. But again, yet another month and no 5-star reads, so I'm really banking on the news to now basically help me with all of these amount of books that I'm behind my target, which I think at the moment is 8. Great. The only 2 5-star books that I've read were In the Owl, so I'm hoping maybe there's gonna be another one or a couple in the news, who knows? You might if you're watching this in the future, but that's a weird thought. That is everything that I have read. I have watched a couple of things, but I basically went through them over the vlog, so I think I'm not gonna mention it here. But thank you so much for watching. Hope your news are going well, because probably by the time this is out, you have already started, if you're participating. Just assumed, how rude. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what was the best book that you have read in your July month. It's very hard for me to pick the best book out of these 3 that got 4 stars, just because all of them are so different. So Godsgrave is like a high fantasy, grim, dark kind of book. Heartstopper is a contemporary comic book, and Daisy Jones is a fictional, basically, biography of like a rock band. It's just like a very interesting mix, which was actually nice. So anyway, let me know what your best book is. I'll speak to you in the comments. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!